Yeah, looks like, let's check it. Oh, that's starting. Stream health is starting. You're now live. And there I am, right there on the screen. Okay, so since I didn't actually know what was going on, and I said, oh, I'm online now, I guess I must be streaming, so I better explain what's going to happen in this stream. As a matter of fact, nobody was listening, so to reiterate, I'm going to be reading some of my own writing. This is a piece that I've been kind of working on like a pile of laundry. I've just been piling it up over time, gradually, and I eventually am going to finish it, I swear. But I heckin' haven't finished it yet, so I'll just be reading as much as I have, and then, well, maybe interacting a little bit with the comments. Let's see. Nobody has ever sent any chat messages to me on any of my live streams quite yet. But there is, in fact, a chat bar, so I'm gonna keep an eye on that. Let's see. Yep, so I've been, like I said, this piece is actually started out a long time ago, so the writing is hopefully going to get a little bit better over time. Let's begin, I guess, since it looks like somebody's viewing. First, there was nothing. Then, there was power. Odin OS v1.0 boot. Then a command was given. Diagnostic check 001. The computer, a mass of several old circuit boards crudely put together and loaded with a simple OS, began to hum as its cooling fans started to spin, and its CPU booted for the first time. The man who had built it, out of scrap parts, mind you, was not exactly the best at building computers. He was of average height, with a simple red robe and an elaborate staff which he used in battle. Diagnostic check running. Scanning file 3 of 30. 10% complete. On the side of the machine, underneath the heating vents, a name was inscribed. Odin. That age-old legendary king and warrior, who hailed so very far away from this piece of metal and its creator. A wise man, or so the legend said. Diagnostic check complete. Status equals OK. Waiting for command. The man typed slowly, thinking about what he wanted to do. Run full analysis on Bry. That's me! Okay. Sorry. I just got excited here for a second. Analysis running. Subject is a human fire mage currently living in the capital of the Brodrin Empire. Strengths, magical combat. Weaknesses, melee attacks. Likes experimenting with spells and computers. Dislikes water. Analysis complete. Waiting for command. Connect with Artemis Probe 1. Connecting. Connected with Artemis Probe 1. The Artemis probe rose from next to the Odin, giving a two-tone beep. Analyze Artemis Probe 1. Analysis running. Probe has a spherical form factor. Brain is intelligent enough to seek and lock onto targets. Vision is provided by 3 eyes. Vision types include thermal, visible light, and ultraviolet. Attachments include 2 Gatling guns mounted on the lower arms that launch fireballs with limited accuracy/range. 2 3-fingered graspers mounted on the upper arms are semi-dexterous. Probe moves by levitation. Move Artemis Probe 1 to coordinates W10, N10 and destroy target. The man watched in fascination as the Artemis probe flew unaided through his small house and shot the target to bits with its Gatling guns. "Yes!" he exclaimed. The man walked outside. Then, thinking twice, he returned to his keyboard and typed a command. Set Artemis 1 probe to follow subject Bry. That's still me. Okay, anyways, blah blah blah. The probe followed the man outside. He started out small, with a fireball no bigger than his hand. He concentrated on it with his psychic power, and it started to let off a purple glow. He sent it around his head, then up in the air. The wind nearly snuffed it out, so he made it bigger. A twig snapped behind him, breaking his concentration. The fireball was still alight, though. The wind was blowing it straight towards the Capitol building. And this is where things kind of heat up a little bit, and then I'm going to kind of have a break just to look at all the excessive chat messages that are being sent to me. Anyways, the man ran as fast as he could to the back door of the Capitol. As the building caught fire, he tried to absorb the As the building caught fire, he tried to absorb the flames, but to no avail. He didn't know any water magic, so he simply stood there and watched it burn to the ground. Meanwhile, everyone inside evacuated through the front of the building. The man teleported back home in a panic. If the authorities caught him, who knew what would happen? He grabbed the computer and several massive batteries, put them in his speeder, and then jumped aboard. He put his helmet on and turned the key. The speeder began to hum as it rose a few feet into the air. Bry drove off quickly through the city streets, the Artemis probe barreling through the air behind him. And so that's where the break is. What do you think of the story so far? I quite like it, but I'm biased because I wrote it, so yeah, I'm biased, but I like it, so that's important. It certainly has the style of something I wrote earlier on instead of later on. But yeah, I don't know. That's exciting, I guess. I'm excited. There are no messages waiting for me in the chat, naturally. Did I get disconnected? Am I back? Oh. I guess I'm back. That was weird. But yeah, there's no comments waiting for me in the chat. What's your favorite color? Just type what your favorite color is. That's like an easy message to respond to. You don't have to really think too hard about that. Well, I guess if you don't often get asked what your favorite color is, you probably have to think pretty hard. You can tell what my favorite color is by my headphones, though. I like red. Red's my favorite color, so... Did I show the logo? Ah, shoot. The logo's on both sides. But, yeah. So I like red. That's how I roll. Yeah. But, other than that, I guess, it could be that I'm the only person watching. I'm like watching myself. I just don't know it yet. Maybe I should. Yeah, I know. I'll type a message to myself. Bam. Red is my favorite color. That's gonna increase my engagement numbers. Jeez. Well, I hope it didn't glitch out too badly when I apparently lost connection in the middle there, so I'll try and keep an eye on that. I was also kind of focused on reading the story, so I don't know if I actually went offline a couple of times and I just didn't know it. So I'm really sorry about that if that happened. This room does not have the best reception, I guess, for the Wi-Fi, since it's, you know, stone walls and bricks, metal, lots of insulatory materials. I mean, I don't really know how the Wi-Fi gets in here, honestly. But let's continue the story, since that's what I'm here for. Bry shut the door to his house in relief. It had been a hectic couple of days, and he hadn't had any time to use his Odin prototype. The batteries he had brought hadn't been able to power the mammoth of a computer, so he was happy to be back home, able to tinker again. The court settlement had cost a fortune, but now he was thinking only of his pet project. Bryce decided to fix the power problem with the Odin device, and made a trip to the parts shop to pick up some solar panels. He also checked out some library books on spells related to electricity. After consulting the text, he devised a rune to store power for the Odin device, and draw in ambient magic in order to charge. He rigged the solar panels to an electricity magic converter, and opened a few windows. Slowly but surely, the rune on the Odin device began to glow with a blue light. The blue color changed to red, yellow, and eventually a steady green. This meant it was fully charged. Okay, see what I mean when I say this was written a while back? Like, that's a little redundant. If I was writing it today, I would probably, skip that part. But anyway, we're still online, so... Bry pushed the power button and sat down at his keyboard. Odin OS V1.1 boot. Checking space-time. Location, Bry's house. Time, 5 days after last boot. Waiting for command. That was odd, Bry thought. He didn't remember updating the OS. Oh well. The main success was that the computer was still running after sitting in that mud hut for 3 days. He wiped it off haphazardly with a cleaning cloth. Then he started typing a command. Set language to comments. State changes in Odin OS. Odin OS V1.1. Fixed minor glitches, improved stability. Now runs space-time check during startup. Waiting for command. Now he remembered. Those changes were written in a notes application on the Odin device. It must have read the notes and put them to action. He didn't remember programming it to do that, though. Fascinating, Bryce said. It's almost as if it can program itself. Turning back to the computer, he began typing again. Can you think? Question, can you think? Deep in the operating system, hidden from the eyes of the man, a series of sentences was constructed. Thinking. Answer yes is equal to admittance of his sentience. Answer no is equal to proof of thought. Answer is not yes, not no. Thinking. Answer a legal query is safe. 5 minutes later, as he was making a PB&J sandwich, Bry heard the Odin beep. He put down the jelly jar and walked over to the screen. A legal query. Run self-analysis. Self-analysis running. That ought to stump it, Bry said to himself as he went back to the small kitchen. He had finished his sandwich when he heard a growl. He slowly turned around and saw a flash of green light in his basement. Getting up to investigate, he walked cautiously down the stairs, leaving the Odin machine to load its answer. What am I? Bry looked around the basement, conjuring a fireball to light the stone walls and floor. I am a machine. In the corner, he saw a dark, shaggy shape moving very quickly. What do I tell him? Bry turned to run as the massive wolf barked menacingly. I can keep this information. He felt its breath on the back of his neck and teleported away. I think this thing says we're still connected. Okay. So, I don't know how much of it you missed, but I guess I'll just read the last little paragraph here. He looked the wolf directly in the face, and in a burst of energy, he blew a hole in his roof and threw the Odin machine through it. The wolf grew to the size of his house and grabbed him in its mouth. He felt its teeth like daggers. Then everything went black. So that's another break. And I'm going to take that moment to try and fix this connection issue. Let's see. Let's take a gander. Alright, so that should fix this a little bit. I mean, the ambient noise is going to get worse, but on the plus side, well, let's see here. Oh boy. I don't have any coverage anyway. Like, this is barely connected. This stream must be glitching out like mad. Is it glitching out like mad? Like, I hope it's not, but is it? I don't know what I was thinking putting the streaming space in here. That was kind of a bad idea. I'm gonna real quick address this power concern. Oh boy. Maybe if I get a little more cordage out of my cord. I think I'm just gonna have to move, honestly. Maybe the Wi-Fi coverage will get better. Alright, let's check it again. Alright. So now we're plugged in. And I've attempted to... Oh my gosh, yep. That looks a lot better. The Wi-Fi connection is way stronger now. Got way more bars. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. It looks like we've not been going for the whole time that I've meant to get this thing going, so that's good. That means we still got, 10-15 minutes at least left. So if you're, like, waiting for me to finish the story, I will. Let's see here. The Odin machine flew through the lower atmosphere, still being propelled by psychic energy. It had nearly escaped the gravitational pull of the planet when the spell faded. This meant one of two things. Either the distance between the caster and the object was too great, or the caster was unable to continue sending the amount of energy necessary to keep the spell going. A little Magic 101. The power needed to cast a telekinesis spell is equivalent to the weight of the object multiplied by the distance between the caster and the object. The machine, of course, had no senses beyond the primitive location-finding spell cast on its casing. It knew it was not still on the planet, but it didn't know what had happened to its creator. Spoiler alert, he's dead. Yeah, I killed myself in my story. I was way edgier back then. You have no idea. But anyways, let's keep going. Didn't know what happened to its creator. The machine flew slowly through space, pulled along by the gravitational pull of a passing comet. It silently crashed into the comet and stayed plastered to the rocky exterior by the larger object's gravity. The comet flew around the planet one more time, brushing past a large metal structure that towered into space. A few spores puffed out from the tower and landed on the meteor. Then it was slingshotted away from the solar system of the Brodrin Empire and on into a new, stranger one. So, yeah, if you couldn't tell, well, I guess you can tell. I already told you. but in case you're just tuning in, or in case you forgot, basically the point of this story is that this computer is created, and then it travels the universe. Which is, I guess, I think it's a neat premise. You have the opportunity to go with, you can basically create any kind of planet you want for the computer to land on. So that's pretty neat. It looks like we're on a little bit of a delay, but I don't mind that too much. Hope you don't mind either, since there's only one of you. Alright, let's see. Stranger. Jackson was in a very good mood. He had just successfully launched into space on a small ship that he'd built himself. He grabbed his itinerary from its Velcro spot on the wall and read the list. 1. Press the big red button to launch. 2. Sit calmly in the cramped cabin. 3. Congratulate self. He paused at this item because the weightlessness had gotten to his head and made him forget it. He patted himself on the back before going back to the list. 4. Test scanner. Right, I almost forgot. Jackson flipped the only switch in the cabin, and the printer above him buzzed to life. It worked slowly, using the small amount of gravity from the planet below. Jackson grabbed the piece of paper from above and looked at the map on it. His ship was in a stable orbit around planet Tenoqua. There was also a large object heading straight for him. Jackson activated the drop mechanism. The bottom half of his ship sprang towards the planet below, pulling the cockpit with it. The comet scratched against the ship and left a few spores on it before continuing on its path. And trust me when I say the spores are really important. I mean, I guess you probably knew that already. I'm gonna go watch this as soon as... I don't know, man. I don't know. As soon as I can, I'm gonna watch this. I designed a thumbnail for this stream. I should probably put that up before anything else. That's not right. Oh, I didn't actually have it. I don't have to download it. Sorry for the stopping it in the middle there. I'm sure you really care about this story. I just hope you can hear it. Alright, yep, so I emailed myself the thumbnail for this. Now's the time to download it, save it, and then change thumbnail, downloads, date. I want the one that I downloaded the most recently. I hope the fan isn't too obnoxiously loud, because that would bug the heck out of me if it was. If I was like watching this and I was trying to. 2017. There it is. I think that's the one. Yeah, but that would bug the heck out of me if the computer's fan was super loud. I guess it kind of fits for some of the story because I like talking specifically about a computer with a fan that's like spinning and, you know, it's working super hard to calculate stuff or whatever. But yeah, let's see. So now, how do I tell what the thumbnail is? I guess I just have to go on YouTube as a random person and see if I'm appearing or not. Like if I just search for myself and oh yeah, okay. And if I watch myself, oh, that's gonna and then I can send myself a message from the phone. That's right here for the record. Oh, and there it pops up. Okay, that's kind of neat. Okay, so this stream is going to keep going until I've finished the story. Man, I could stand to write a better cursive Z than that. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to that, since I'm just procrastinating at this point. Sheriff Dusty stood on the dry, barren plains of what used to be America. The sun was halfway through its path in the sky, but something else was shining up there. As the sun glinted off of it, Dusty squinted and summoned his mount, a big tiger and anaconda chopper with a custom red finish. He hopped aboard, donned his trusty checkered flag helmet, and set off in the direction of the shining object. The chopper grumbled at first before the putt-putt of its 150cc motor sped up into a roar. Dusty zipped along, getting a better view of the object. As it got closer, it took on a vermilion hue, and Dusty put on the brakes on his chopper. He jumped off as the object closed in. With a flash of flames, the chopper disappeared. The object landed with a massive thud, sending up a cloud of dust around it. Dusty covered his eyes. When the dust settled, there stood the remains of a comet, and a large square thing made of metal. It remained intact, due in part to the enchantment on its casing that allowed it to absorb heat in order to find its location. At this moment, the device knew where it was, accurate to the molecule. It was also streaming generously. Streaming? Did I just say streaming because I'm live streaming? Okay. No, it was steaming generously. Yeah. Dusty walked towards the machine, noticing a hairline crack on the corner of its blank screen. He inspected the keyboard without touching it. Picking up a stick, Dusty poked the letter H tentatively. H. The machine didn't have any special programming regarding the letter H. Was this some sort of test? H is not a recognized command. For a full list of executable commands, consult the manual. Dusty poked a few more letters. Manual. Odin 1.1 Operations Manual does not exist. In a future update, there may be an operations manual. Dusty didn't know what to think. This device was like something out of the sci-fi movies that his nieces had been obsessed with. It looked pretty heavy to him, and he had no desire to tow it around with his chopper. He took out a map and marked the spot where the device was, then summoned his chopper and rode off towards his home. The Odin device switched itself off, oblivious to the spores that were growing just feet away from it. And here's where the spores become apparent as to what they are. If you have read if you've read what was considered to be my novel, before I gave up on it, you would know what these creatures kind of were, but they're a little different in this story than they are in the other one. I'm gonna type up a better description on this. Maybe that'll get some clicks. Reading. Maybe I update the description a little bit here, and I can say I'm reading my own story, answering people in the chat if they say anything. Yeah, I'm trying not to be too passive-aggressive about this, but come on, man. Alright, whatever. Sometimes you just can't send a chat message, so that's fine. The spores were growing. The spores became a small pink creature about the size of a microwave oven. It crawled slowly across It crawled slowly across the ground on its 4 stumpy legs. After an hour, it had reached the outskirts of a ruined town. A stop sign stood crookedly in front of it. In a second, the creature began to chew on the stop sign's base. In minutes, it had eaten the entire sign. It crawled forward, growing to the size of a regular oven as it went. Around its head, a helmet-like structure began to jut out. Its chest gained a metallic gleam and hardened. It came to the next stop sign and devoured it too. As it continued to eat the town's stop signs, its helmet became more pronounced and its chest armor became more metallic. It grew even taller until it was as tall as a man. Dusty sat down in his cushy armchair as he pulled out Game of Thrones. He read about Jon Snow and Bram Stark's adventures, unaware of the pink monster that was creeping towards his house. It pulled... that's a typo. Let me just fix that real quick. It pulled the doorknob out of its socket and ate it in a single bite. Dusty turned around and grabbed a pistol off the wall. Backing away from the pinkish monster, he fired 2 shots at its head. They ricocheted off. He rushed out the back door as it advanced. Summoning his mount, Dusty rushed off towards the Odin device. When he finally reached it, he hurriedly typed out a question. What is a monster with a head immune to gunshots? Searching database. 1 match found. Fleshy, a fungus that consumes many kinds of metal in order to create armor for the body, including the head and chest. Strengths. Physical combat, resistance to most melee attacks, reproduces quickly, flourishes in many different environments. Weaknesses. Electricity. Likes wood, metal, magic in certain cases. Dislikes the taste of sugar. Dislikes sugar. Really? Dusty knew he had some sugar at home, but that wouldn't help him out here in the desert where the Odin device had landed. Dusty heard a thumping sound behind him. He turned and saw the Fleshy galloping towards him. He jumped on his motorcycle, trying to outrun it. The chopper roared and the Fleshy roared back. As Dusty sped off through the desert, the Fleshy picked up speed. He checked his mirror and saw that it was gaining on him. He shot 2 times at the Fleshy without looking, then circled around in order to get a better look at it. It seemed to have grown just a little since he'd shot it. Of course, the metal in the bullets. He sped towards the Fleshy, turning slightly to zoom past it. It chomped at its head, but Dusty's bike was too fast. He kicked at it with his steel-toed boot. There was a clang, and then Dusty was gone again, heading back for home. The Fleshy, meanwhile, decided to inspect the large metal block that stood close to where it had first grown. As the Fleshy approached, the machine was hurriedly trying to think of a way out of its dilemma. If information about Fleshies had been requested, perhaps one was near. Self-query. What do Fleshies dislike? Answer to self-query. Sugar. Hypothesis. Fleshies dislike objects with a similar chemical composition to sugar. Conjecture. By expending small amounts of magic from the power storage rune, it may be possible to rearrange the structure of metal, resulting in it repelling the Fleshies with the same effectiveness of sugar. All of these advanced thoughts had lowered the amount of power stored in the rune to 50%. The Fleshy sniffed at the box cautiously. No, not cautiously. The Fleshy sniffed the box curiously. It smelled several different kinds of metal, but the box also hummed with the sound of electricity. Suddenly, a symbol on the box glowed, and the glow spread to the entire box. The Fleshy backpedaled, before leaning forward as the glow disappeared. It licked the box. Ew! The box tasted horrible. The Fleshy roared at it before leaving it for town. The computer didn't sense any components missing. It had run out of power and so shut itself down. So that's another break, and we're almost to the end. We're very close to the end, I think. Yeah. I remember writing this recently. So we're starting to get closer to the present day, basically. But yeah. I was gonna try to do this stream from my phone, but naturally, just like everything with YouTube, you need 10,000 subscribers before you can do that. I swear. YouTube's becoming a really tiered platform, isn't it? Like, it really does matter a whole lot how much of a following you have and how many people are watching you. But I mean, it's always kind of been like that, so I mean, that's not really such a bad thing. I mean, yeah, it's not such a bad thing. It's okay. I don't mind. How are we doing on heat here? It seems like we're doing okay. I think I might go get some water, so I'll be back in a minute here. Yeah, my voice is starting to go, so I'd better take care of that before better finish this before it does, so I can get some more content. The only thing I'm really trying to do with the channel right now is just beat my view count for last month. Because I really want to end it on like a positive note. I want to end the year and be like, I got all these views. I got views from this video and this video and this video and this video and a bunch of live stream views and watch time from that. But I mean, it's hard. People don't seem to want to watch YouTube in December. I think last December was not a great year for me either. I could check the stats, but that would just take more time. So I'm going to try and be respectful of your guys' time, I know, or of your time since it's just one person. I'm going to try and finish the story here. Dusty was raiding the town's convenience store for sugar when the fleshy drew near. It roared at him from outside the door. He was somewhat startled, but stood his ground when it smashed through the glass. Hefting a bag of sugar, Dusty covered the creature in it with a toss. The creature fell back with a screechy cry, repulsed, and the sheriff was able to escape through the broken glass door with a grocery bag full of sugar in tow. He summoned his chopper and rode quickly to his house. The fleshy galloped after him, but in a series of turns he was able to lose it. Dusty emptied several sacks of sugar, making a circle around his house. Then he crept down a small path that led out of town. The path led to a sparse park. Dusty remembered when the whole park had been covered in green grass, with all sorts of flowers lining the paths that led through it. His memory was a far cry from the scorched, desolate lot in front of him. He sat on a bench and looked at the half-dead tufts of grass that sprang up here and there. Dusty knew he had to find a way to get the fleshy away from this town. From his town. If only there was some way for him to generate electricity. Because of the apocalypse, the power had been out for some time. Then he remembered something. That other town was 20 miles away, but that was a small distance for his mount. Yes! He could go there, go to the place, and have just what he needed to keep the fleshy away. With a triumphant grin, Dusty left the park, got onto the road, and summoned his chopper. "Vernon Hills, here I come," he yelled, as he drove off towards the distance. So, that's about as far as I've written. I mean, I have more, but it's not a finished section of the story, so I'm just gonna avoid reading that just yet. I promise that as soon as well, not as soon as, but when I've written more of this story, I'll put more of it on the internet here, so you guys can hear it read as it was meant to be read. Well, yeah, but other than that, let's see, what time do we have here? Oh, we're still short of 50 minutes. What's the longest video on my channel? I swear, this must be it, right? I don't think I've made any video that was more than like an hour. That's what I was hoping I was going to be able to get out of this one, actually, because, let's see, the last live stream was 22 minutes, or, well, technically the last live stream was actually shorter, because it was an HD test. Where's that one, though? Oh yeah, there it is. So the last one was like 1:23, because it was just testing if I could make HD live streams. Spoiler alert, I can't. That's too bad. But yeah, I don't think, I mean, other than that, as far as my videos go, I don't see any that are longer than this one right now. But I don't really want to sit here for 15 minutes just to have an hour-long stream on my channel. Thank you for tuning in, though, even if you didn't say anything in the chat. As much as I harp on about that, I really don't mind as long as someone watched this. So, yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end the stream now, so apologies for that, I guess. Well, apologies, and have a fabulous holiday season. You know, I am going home too, so meet your family, drink some eggnog, give each other exorbitant presents, or give yourself like a card that says "I love me." or better yet, give each other cards that say "I love you." That's more of a fraternal or like a Philadelphian kind of thing. It's Philadelphia. Philadelphia was actually, believe it or not, there was like a Roman city called Philadelphia, or like a city in ancient Roman times. So like, it turns out that not only does the East Coast have New York and New England, it also has New Philadelphia. And I've actually I think there's towns in the US called like Alexandria too, even though Alexandria was also like just a town in an ancient country, like it was in Egypt or whatever. But, let's see, I'm just getting off topic. What I meant to say was, you guys have a fabulous break, a fabulous holiday season, have a good winter, and I'll be back with some more content in the new year, so see you then.